Curaçao has a population of 158,000 people. That's smaller than Coventry. They have qualified for the FIFA World Cup. That's not a miracle of football. That's what happens when you expand the tournament to 48 teams. And that's what this is. Every single 2026 World Cup nation ranked from the one that has no business being there to the one defending the trophy. Let's go, starting at the bottom. And the bottom is rough. The two intercontinental playoff winners, whoever emerged from Jamaica versus DR Congo and Bolivia versus Iraq on March 31st, take spots 48 and 47 on this list. One of those teams is Bolivia, a nation that finished 7th in South America, 7th, and still got a World Cup place because the expanded format opens a playoff backdoor. Bolivia's last World Cup was 1994. They finished bottom of their group with 0 points. If they make it through, the bar for progress is low, very low. Above them, in 46th, is Curaçao, population 158,000, an island in the Caribbean, the smallest nation in World Cup history and the most direct evidence that FIFA's expansion is less about raising the level of football and more about raising the number of broadcasting markets. Their squad is built on Dutch diaspora players, talented individuals genuinely, but they are drawn in Group H with Germany. Germany won the World Cup in 2014. Curaçao has never played in one. That group game will be a very different sporting contest from the one Mbappé versus Kane will be. Uzbekistan sit at 45. 35 million people. First ever World Cup. And they drew Group K, Portugal, Colombia, Uzbekistan. Two of those teams have produced two of the best players in football history. Uzbekistan are drawn against both of them in their first 3 games. It is not fair. It is also football. Jordan make their debut at 44. A nation ranked 68th in the world, their squad almost entirely domestically based. They earned this. 6 rounds of Asian qualification proved that. But earning a place and being ready for a place are different things, and Jordan are at a tournament where several groups contain 2 top 10 teams in the world. Haiti at 43 haven't been to a World Cup since 1974, 52 years. In that 1974 tournament, they conceded 14 goals in 3 games. Their first game in 2026 is against Scotland, who also haven't been to a World Cup since 1998. This match will be the most nervous 22 players on a pitch in the entire group stage. Cape Verde at 42 are the first genuinely intriguing entry on this list. They've never been to a World Cup, but they've been to AFCON quarterfinals, and they qualified by winning a CAF group above several established African nations. Their diaspora connection to Portugal means European standard players in key positions. They're not here to make up the numbers. New Zealand at 41. The All Whites. They've been twice before, 1982 and 2010. In 2010, they drew all 3 group games, which remains their best ever return. Their OFC's representative, a confederation so geographically isolated that it gets one guaranteed spot regardless of quality. That spot is a structural gift. They know it. They'll still run themselves into the ground trying to prove they deserve it. Panama at 40. Only their second World Cup, 2018 was the first. They conceded 11 goals in 3 games that year and celebrated every moment regardless. They'll concede goals in 2026 too. They'll celebrate just as hard. South Africa at 39 returned for the first time since 2010, when they became the only host nation ever eliminated in the group stage. Their consolation was a 2-1 win over France. Their punishment was still going home. In 2026, they opened the tournament against Mexico on June 11th at the Azteca, a direct rematch of the 2010 opening game. Football has a memory and a sense of humor. Ghana at 38. Luis Suarez handballed a goal-bound shot on the line against Ghana in the 2010 quarterfinal. Asamoah Gyan missed the resulting penalty. Ghana went out. Suarez celebrated on the pitch. That was 16 years ago, and it's still the first thing you think of when Ghana appear in a World Cup. It follows them everywhere. It should follow Suarez too. Qatar at 37. In 2022 as hosts, they became the first team ever to lose their opening game, 1-0 to Ecuador, and the first host nation eliminated after just 2 group games. They also had the most controversial hosting rights in World Cup history. Now they've actually qualified by playing football. That's more than they could say in 2022. It doesn't change the backstory. Paraguay at 36. Their best World Cup was 2010 quarter-finals. They haven't qualified since. 16 years of absence. They come back now with a young squad drawn with the USA, Australia, and a European playoff team. There is a path here to the round of 32. Whether they take it depends entirely on how much that 16-year absence has been eating at them. Scotland at 35, 28 years, since France 1998. 9 consecutive World Cups from 1954 to 1998, then nothing. The wait ended in November 2025 when a Kieran Tierney stoppage time winner, set up by a Scott McTominay overhead kick, sealed qualification against Denmark. Scotland drew Brazil, Morocco, and a playoff team in their group. Their reward for the most romantic qualification story in European football is arguably the hardest group at the tournament. That checks out. Saudi Arabia at 34. They beat Argentina 2-1 in 2022. Defending champions, full-strength Argentina, the biggest World Cup upset in 20 years. They still went out in the group stage. That result will never make complete sense, and it never needs to. Tunisia at 33, 7 World Cups, never progressed from the group stage, not once. In 2022, they beat France 1-0. France had already qualified and had rotated their squad. Tunisia went home anyway, 7 tournaments, 0 knockout rounds. Consistency, in the most bittersweet sense of the word. Norway at 32, 28 years away from the World Cup, just like Scotland. The difference is Norway have Erling Haaland, arguably the best number 9 on the planet. The problem is Norway's squad around Haaland has been too thin for too long. Haaland scored for fun in qualifying. Norway still barely got there. If the supporting cast shows up in North America, they're dangerous. If they don't, Haaland scores 1 and they go home. Egypt at 31, 3 World Cups across 92 years of international football. Mohamed Salah will be 34 during this tournament. If he's fit and motivated, Egypt can disrupt any group stage. If he's not, and his club season has carried injury concerns, they have no alternative. Everything runs through Salah. The entire tournament risk is parked on one man's knee. Ivory Coast at 30 return after missing 2018 and 2022. The team that produced Didier Drogba's generation reached 3 consecutive World Cups from 2006 to 2014. Missing 2 in a row was a genuine regression. Coming back now, with Sebastian Haller and a rebuilt core, feels like a statement. Whether it's a statement backed by enough quality is the question. Algeria at 29 beat West Germany 2-1 in 1982, the biggest World Cup upset at that point in history. West Germany then arranged a result with Austria in their next game, the Disgrace of Gijón, to eliminate Algeria despite Algeria winning their match. It's why all group games in the final round are now played simultaneously. The entire modern structure of World Cup group stages exists partly because of what happened to Algeria in 1982. They deserve more credit for that than they usually get. Iran at 28. 7 World Cups for Asia's most consistent qualifier. No knockout stage appearance in any of them. Their 1998 win over the USA in Lyon remains the most politically charged 90 minutes in World Cup history. In a wider sense than just football, they keep qualifying and keep going home in the group stage. 7 additions, 0 progressions, somewhere between remarkable and frustrating. South Korea at 27, semi-finalists in 2002 when they co-hosted with Japan. Their wins over Italy and Spain in that tournament are still debated. The refereeing decisions were extraordinary. They've been to every World Cup since. Son Heung-min will be 34 during this tournament, in what is almost certainly his last. He'll want to go further than the round of 16. Every time Korea have qualified since 2002, that's as far as they've gone. Australia at 26 are a quietly underrated team. They reached the quarterfinals in 2022, pushed Argentina to the limit, and have a squad with genuine European League depth. They're drawn in Group D with the USA at home. That game will have an atmosphere unlike anything Australia's players have experienced. They can progress from this group. Don't bet against it. Senegal at 25 are ranked 12th in the world and are one of Africa's 2 genuine contenders to go deep. They beat France in their debut in 2002 and reached the quarterfinals. In 2022, they went out to England in the round of 16. Their squad, Edouard Mendy, Ismaïla Sarr, Idrissa Gueye, has quality throughout. The question isn't whether they can hurt the big teams, it's whether they can do it consistently enough. Switzerland at 24 are tournament football's most reliable disappointment. They qualify every time. They lose to someone better in the knockouts. They beat Portugal in 2006 and still couldn't score in extra time. They went out on penalties having never trailed. Switzerland draw 1-0. Switzerland lose 1-0 in the quarterfinals. The cycle is unbroken. Japan at 23 were the first nation to confirm qualification. Their 2022 group stage, beating Germany 2-1, beating Spain 2-1, topping their group above both, was the best performance of the tournament's opening rounds. They then lost to Croatia on penalties in the round of 16. Their squad is now almost entirely Europe-based. Kubo at Real Sociedad, Doan at Freiburg, Kamada in the Bundesliga. Japan are not minnows. They are a glass ceiling problem. Ecuador at 22 opened the 2022 World Cup by beating Qatar 2-0 with Ener Valencia scoring both goals. They did it again in their second game. Valencia scored 4 goals before anyone else at that tournament had scored 1. Moises Caicedo is now one of the best midfielders in the Premier League. Ecuador are more dangerous than their ranking suggests and have been for a decade. Austria at 21 haven't been to a World Cup since 1998. Ralf Rangnick took a mid-table Austrian side and rebuilt it into a genuine European force using the pressing structures he developed at Leipzig and Salzburg. They qualified as group winners. They drew Argentina in their group. Of all the nations returning after long absences, Austria are the one with the most tactical sophistication to cause upsets. Morocco at 20, semi-finalists in 2022. The first African nation to reach the last 4 of a World Cup. They beat Spain on penalties. They beat Portugal 1-0. They ran France to the wire in the semi. They arrive ranked 8th in the world, drew Brazil and Scotland in their group, and are the most genuinely dangerous outside contender from outside the traditional top 10. Achraf Hakimi is a top 3 right-back on the planet. This team is real. Now we're into the teams who can win it. The gap between 20th and 19th is the gap between contender and favorite. The 4 UEFA playoff winners take places 19 to 16 on this list, depending on who comes through. Verify final results. Finals played March 31st, 2026. Italy, Denmark, Turkey, and the respective path winners, whichever 4 of the 8 semi-finalists came through, are wildly different in quality and expectation. Italy winning Path A would mark their return after near-total elimination humiliation. Denmark are a consistent European force. Turkey showed in Euro 2024 what they can do in tournament football. The 4 playoff winners are here on this list in that range, dangerous enough to be seeds problems, not dangerous enough to be favorites. Canada at 15, hosts. Home support in Toronto and Vancouver. Alphonso Davies at peak at 25 years old during the tournament. Jonathan David, one of Europe's most prolific strikers, leading the line. In 2022, Canada went to their first World Cup in 36 years and lost all 3 group games. This is a different squad, a different expectation, and a crowd that will push them further than any previous Canadian generation has gone. Mexico at 14, and here's where it gets real. 7 consecutive round of 16 appearances from 1986 to 2018. 7. Then 2022 happened. They went out in the group stage for the first time in 36 years, and the silence in the country was deafening. Now they're hosts again, playing their opening game at the Azteca, the stadium that hosted the 1970 final and the 1986 final, against South Africa, who they drew with on opening day in 2010. Everything about this tournament for Mexico is about redemption. The Azteca crowd will be ready. Whether the squad is ready is the only question. Colombia at 13 arrived at this tournament through a year of genuine brilliance. They reached the 2024 Copa America final, qualified second in CONMEBOL, and have Luis Diaz and John Jotter Duran as perhaps the most explosive attacking combination in South America. James Rodriguez at 34 is the wild card, magnificent in flashes, invisible in others. Their draw with Portugal and Uzbekistan in Group K sets up a clash with Ronaldo that will generate more pre-match coverage than any other group game. Uruguay at 12. Darwin Núñez's pace, Federico Valverde's engine, a defensive unit that conceded just enough in CONMEBOL qualifying to stay dangerous. Uruguay have won this tournament twice, in 1930 and 1950, and they play with a historical weight that teams twice their size don't carry. Luis Suarez is gone from international football, verify. What remains is still enough to threaten anyone they meet in the knockouts. Belgium at 11 are playing their last dance. Kevin De Bruyne, Romelu Lukaku, Thibaut Courtois, who kept 7 clean sheets in qualifying alone. These players are 33 to 36 during the tournament. The golden generation that was ranked first in the world for 5 years never won a thing. This is their last realistic chance. If they go out to Morocco again, it will define them. If they go deep, and they have the quality too, it redeems everything. USA at 10 are in the conversation now, not out of national pride or host nation optimism, out of genuine squad quality. Jude Bellingham is 22 and already, wait, that's England. Christian Pulisic, Gio Reyna, Tyler Adams, Folarin Balogun. This is the deepest, most technical, most European-based USMNT squad in history. They missed 2018. They watched from home. They have been building for this moment for 8 years. Sophie Stadium in Inglewood will be 70,000 people who have never stopped believing. That matters. Croatia at 9 should not be here anymore. A nation of 4 million. World Cup finalists in 2018, semi-finalists in 2022. Luka Modrić at 40 years old, still playing, still conducting their midfield like a conductor who refuses to leave the stage. When he eventually stops, and it will be this tournament, it will be one of the great endings in football history. Modrić at the World Cup final, exhausted, magnificent, losing, or winning. Either ending is worth watching. Germany at 8 are a team in active reconstruction. The 2018 and 2022 humiliations, consecutive group stage exits for a nation that had never done it before, forced genuine change. Jamal Musiala and Florian Wirtz are 2 of the most gifted players of their generation. Julian Nagelsmann's system is mobile and aggressive in a way German football hasn't been for a decade. They drew Curaçao in their group. They could win this tournament. Those 2 facts exist simultaneously. Netherlands at 7, the greatest team to never win it. 1974 finalists, 1978 finalists, 2010 finalists, 3 finals, 0 trophies. Total football and total heartbreak back to back to back across 36 years. Virgil van Dijk will be 35 during this tournament, but is still one of the best central defenders alive. They have the talent. The Netherlands always have the talent. The talent is not the problem. The problem is what happens in finals. Portugal at 6. Cristiano Ronaldo will be 41. He will start games. He will score goals. He will cry when they lose and roar when they win. And the real conversation, the one everyone in Portugal is having but few say out loud, is whether Ronaldo's presence now helps or costs them. Bruno Fernandes is the real orchestrator, João Neves is the future, and Ronaldo is the greatest of his generation playing the last chapter of his story. It's messy, it's beautiful, it's Portugal. Brazil at 5, 5 World Cups, 0 since 2002. The longest drought in the history of the most successful nation in World Cup football. Vinicius Jr. is at his peak. Rodrigo, Endrick, Rafinha, an embarrassment of attacking riches. Alisson Becker is still a top 3 goalkeeper on earth. Their opening game against Morocco will be the most watched group stage fixture of the tournament. If Brazil go home before the semi-finals, it's a crisis. Again. England at 4. Thomas Tuchel, Jude Bellingham. A perfect qualifying campaign. 8 games, 8 wins, 22 goals, 0 conceded. The most dominant English qualification in history. Harry Kane is 32 and has never scored in a World Cup knockout game despite being England's all-time leading scorer. That statistic either ends in 2026 or it defines him forever. England have more talent than any tournament since 1966 and the same question mark they've always had. When it matters most, will they hold on? Spain at 3 are the best team in the world. That's not a prediction. That's a ranking. Ranked first by FIFA, reigning European champions. Lamine Yamal is 18 during this tournament and is already one of the 3 best players on the planet. Spain qualified unbeaten, playing the most technically complete football of any European nation. When they are right, no one can live with them. Ask France. Ask England. Both found out in Berlin last summer. France at 2 might be the best team at this tournament by the time it ends. Kylian Mbappé at 27 is in his peak years at Real Madrid. Didier Deschamps has said he steps down after this tournament. This is his final campaign. France were 3-1 down in the 2022 final and came back to 3-3. They lost on penalties. They want what was taken from them. Their attacking depth, Dembélé, Olise, Barcola supporting Mbappé, is the most frightening in world football. The only reason they're not first on this list is because the team below them is defending the trophy. Argentina, number 1. And Lionel Messi will be 38 years old during this tournament. He has told the world this is his last. He lifted that trophy in Qatar in 2022, finally, after 4 attempts. Finally. And now he comes back to defend it. In the most favorable group draw a defending champion could ask for, with a squad that knows how to win it. With Julian Alvarez and Lautaro Martinez as his strike partners. With the coach who made it happen in Lionel Scaloni. Argentina have every ingredient. But here's the question that will define this entire tournament, the debate I want you to settle in the comments. If France beat Argentina in the 2026 World Cup final, the rematch of 2022, Mbappé against Messi, peak versus farewell, would that be the greatest football match ever played? Or is Messi lifting the trophy a second time the ending this sport owes itself? That's what 48 nations and 104 games all point toward. Let's find out.